All right, everybody. It is showtime. Episode 236 of what is
What are we going to call this show?
What?
We need to change the name of the show.
The disembodied voice in the background wonders this. But regardless, whatever this may be, it is episode 236. And today we're going to talk about the fall of Pompeii. Glad to be back after about a month and a half of hiatus. So with me here is none other than, who is this? Leonard Kramer. Oh, the other way.
Hey, Shan.
What
up?
Yeah, wonderful. I see
How's
that
it hanging?
it's how it's going. Things are hanging. What I was gonna say, like, what's up for you would be your paintings, which since it's right above your head.
Oh,
So, yeah.
it's kind of an angle. I should adjust. The wall is straight. It's just that I'm kind of at an angle. That's why they.
I feel like your whole place is like it's an interesting perspective. But before I continue on, let me just say for those watching for the first time, you may want to know that we typically do this every week, but we have taken a slight break, but we are going to get back on track. You can also support the show as a free or paid member by going to patreon.com/sg2onspace. And thank you to the existing supporters, and just leave that running for now. So with that said, we are talking about Pompeii here. By the way, Leonard, I realized 4 years ago we had an episode about Pompeii.
Did we?
We did. I looked through my previous email, and so I probably put a link to this one later. But that was like shortly after I think it was like your trip there, maybe something like that.
That's true. I did take a trip there. I was there for a few days in 2020.
Right.
Right before COVID started.
Right. So that was, yeah, you were talking about your trip, and then I think it was also because that volcano in Tonga just erupted then.
Ah, yes. Yeah, that was a good show.
Talk about that. Yeah, exactly. But the difference now is that here we're going to primarily focus on Pompeii. And also, Leonard, I understand you have some historical documents.
Yeah.
So,
I think I kind of discovered something about the just looking at historical documents that I was able to.
I want to take a step back though, since you and I are talking about this as if, hey, like everybody knows what the fall of Pompeii is and what Pompeii is. But what is Pompeii and what is the fall of Pompeii, quote unquote?
Well, let's see. Pompeii is. Can you share Can you share my slides?
Absolutely.
So Pompeii is a city, or was a city at that time, and there were several along the Bay of what they call Bay of Naples. And so, if you imagine standing on the shore along here in 79 AD, in the first century BC, this wasn't, and I want to point out that this is an area called Campania, which was not a remote corner of the Roman Empire. This is some of the most desirable real estate in all of Italy, and even today, it's a really nice place. The bay was ringed with prosperous towns that you can see here on my map, and wealthy Romans built seaside estates overlooking the water. Merchants were moving goods through the ports. The mountain itself and all of this area is very conducive to the grape culture. So wine is an important commodity. So it was a thriving. There were several. It was a thriving region. And even today, there's places like even today, this area is called Capri. Neapolis in ancient times is today called Naples, which is a big city, and it's a fun place to go. They could The only criticism I have is like they should collect the garbage 3 times a week instead of once a week. But but that's
You were there.
yeah, I was there. And I recommend the archaeological museum and also the ruins of Pompeii and Herculaneum. So I just wanted to talk about those things. So to the north, like Herculaneum was a seaside town. Today it's several miles inland because of the eruption that happened there. There was a place called Oplantus, which is there's also it's not on this map, and then Stabii were the main regions that were affected by the eruption. So the landscape was beautiful and productive, and the volcanic soils around Mount Vesuvius produced
Very fertile
fruit,
soil.
abundant fruit, vineyards, and so this was a region that was well known and very much desired throughout the Roman world of that time. And so towering over it, I have a picture here that I got from the interview. So you can see that this is probably what Pompeii, or actually, I'll take it back. This is probably what Herculaneum looked like, because I recognize this facade up ahead, down at the bottom here. There had been earthquakes. Earthquakes were kind of like a part of life then. The Romans knew Vesuvius was a mountain, but apparently they didn't really recognize it as a volcano. It didn't have any smoke coming from it. And in ancient times, the city looked like this.
Yeah, are you saying that people back then did not realize that they were living right next to a volcano?
From what I have read, apparently they did not know that they were right next to a volcano. They knew what volcanoes were,
Right.
because there were some in the Roman Empire at the time, and people did know about those, but they didn't know that Vesuvius was an active volcano. This is a street scene that an artist has created, and it's inspired by the actual ruins of today. So I guess most people know.
Is this, Leonard, since you were there in 2020, this was a picture you took, right?
This is not no. I got a better version of this, but I viewed this.
Oh, okay, got it.
So
Sorry.
and so you can see that these words are readable, and so forth. So this is what it looks like today. In ancient times, the mountain looked peaceful, and like I said, people would pasture their livestock there, and they would cultivate grapes, and so no one of that era had ever witnessed a major eruption. So here's the story. One of those living nearby was a teenager who later became a famous lawyer in ancient times. His name was Plinius, and so we typically name him. We refer to him as Pliny the Younger, or Pliny the nephew. His real name was Gaius Plinius Caecilius Secundus, and he's known to history as Pliny the Younger. He was the nephew and actually an adopted son of a more famous scholar and admiral, military leader named Pliny the Elder, who was sort of a philosopher, natural philosopher, scientist, and had that kind of attitude about nature. He wrote a natural history. At the time of the eruption, Pliny was very young, maybe 19 or 20, and he was staying with his uncle at Misenum. I'm gonna reverse the slides here to look back.
That was a massive flash of images right there. Okay.
Well, I control it. I mean, it's like so the eruption occurred here, and the width of this map is about 50 miles. And so Misenum was the Navy base, was where the Navy was, and Pliny was located at Misenum with his uncle. So we're going to move forward. So at the time of the eruption, that's where Pliny was, and he witnessed this. And his uncle Pliny the Elder was the admiral of the fleet that was stationed there. Pliny was highly educated. In fact, he was doing homework at the time that this happened. And years later, about 20 years later, the historian named Tacitus wrote to Pliny the Younger and asked him, because it was apparent, it seems like it was famous that it was well known that he had witnessed this disaster, and so he asked him to compose an account of the eruption and what he witnessed, and that's been handed down to us today. So that information, not the original manuscripts, but copies of the manuscript have been preserved, and I'd like to talk about that in a little bit. But sometime in late AD 79, and traditionally it's dated to August, but there's evidence that suggests the eruption may have occurred later in the year, and everything changed at that time. So sometime around midday, a massive column of ash and gas burst from the summit of Vesuvius, and the principal eyewitness, Pliny, he wrote 2 letters describing what he had seen and what had happened to his uncle. Interestingly, although Tacitus seems to have asked for this, we don't have the accounts that Tacitus wrote about this. I think we know that he did write about it, and it was circulated, but it didn't survive to the modern day. There were others that did write about it and seemed to have been influenced by Tacitus's account. But the Plinian letters sort of form the foundation of our understanding of the disaster.
Do you have some? Are you able to read some of the letters?
I can read some of it. I think what I like to do is maybe I should read a translation.
Oh yeah, I was telling some people that we're going to speak Latin on this show, but we're going to save that for one day.
Let's save that. Let's save that a little bit. Let me read from the letter to begin. Let me read Pliny's letter. It'll take about 4 or 5 minutes, and if we get tired, you can stop me. But it's pretty compelling. One thing you need to understand is this is not just one fragment from Pliny. He wrote hundreds of pages that are preserved and you can go to the website of the Vatican. They have digital archive, and it's just astonishing what you can see there. And so
letters of Pliny from
yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
And if you can put up with me talking, I'll show you some of those in a little bit. So Pliny wrote to Tacitus. He says, this is his letter to Tacitus, and it's book 6, letter 16. And so I'm going to read from it. You ask that I write to you about the death of my uncle, so that you may hand it down more truthfully to posterity. I thank you, for I see that if his death is commemorated by you, immortal glory has been set before him. For although amid the destruction of most beautiful lands, of peoples and cities, in a memorable catastrophe, he seems destined to live forever, and although he himself composed many enduring works, nevertheless, the eternity of your writing will greatly add to his permanence. So you can see it's a literary work, He said, indeed, I consider blessed those to whom it has been granted by the gift of the gods either to do things worthy of being written about or to write things worthy of being read. Most blessed are those whom both have been granted. Among their number will be my uncle, both through his books and through years. Therefore, I more willingly undertake. Indeed, I even request so great a task. And so here's the beginning of the description. He was at Misenum, and was personally commanding the fleet on the 9th day before the calends of September. At about the 7th hour, my mother pointed out to him that a cloud was appearing, unusual both in size and appearance. And so this translation just literally translates the Latin into English as close to the words that are given. So in Roman times, the way a date was related, they would say a certain number of days before either the calends means the beginning of the month,
Okay.
or the beginning, or the ides of the month. So the Romans designated a calends, which means the beginning of the month. Ides means the middle of the month, and they had another designation for the first week of the month. And it was at the so that's a little thing that he's talking about there.
Okay.
And it was about 7th hour, so 7 o'clock in the morning. And he says, my mother, and you can see in the Latin he'll write mater mea, she is how you would say that. My mother pointed out to him that a cloud was appearing, unusual both in size and appearance. He had taken the sun, then cold bath, and after reclining, had eaten a light meal and was studying. He asked for his sandals and climbed to a place from which that marvel could best be seen. A cloud was rising. It was uncertain from what mountain, although afterwards it became known to be Vesuvius. Its appearance and shape could best be described by comparing it to a pine tree, for rising upward as though on a very long trunk, it spread out into branches. So in modern times, we talk about a Plinian eruption is a kind of eruption that shoots up into the sky direct and straight upward.
That's actually a real word, Plinian.
So Plinian eruption, yeah. So I'm going to just read a little bit more because I want to get to something in the letter that's interesting. Sometimes it appeared bright and white, at other times stained and dirty, according as it had lifted earth or ashes. To my uncle, as a learned man, this seemed important and deserving closer examination. Okay, now this is interesting. Then a message arrived from Rectina, the wife of Tacitus, terrified by the danger. Her villa lay beneath the mountain, and there was no escape except by sea. She begged him to rescue her from so great a peril.
Mm-hmm.
So the question is, what is there something wrong with that?
Rescue the peril? Are you asking me?
Yeah. Then a message arrived from Rectina. She said, "Help me, help me, Pliny the Elder. I'm terrified by the danger. Come and rescue me." How did the message arrive?
I don't know. How did it with our ships?
I don't know either. It's a mystery about, like if it was so dangerous and so it's such a terrible thing, if the messenger could get away, then why didn't she just go with the messenger to get away also? So that's never been completely explained to me. I did read a book a few years ago. It's in the house somewhere and I can't remember, but they speculated that possibly the Romans had something like a semaphore system where they could transmit across the bay, but others have just said that there were messengers that could get through quickly.
Okay, so she all right, send off this message saying I need to get out of here.
Yeah,
please send help.
Help me.
And then
So he changed. Yeah, as the letter goes on, he says he changed his plan. What had become a scientific curiosity, he pursued with courage. So this could have been one of the first civil defense, evacuation plans in history.
mm-hmm.
He was able to order that the warships be launched, and he himself boarded one, bringing help not only to Rectina but to many others. This is all from the letter. Okay, this pleasant coastline was densely populated. He hurried to the place from which others were fleeing, steering directly toward the danger, so free from fear that he dictated and noted all the changing movements and forms of the disaster as he observed them. Ashes were already falling upon the ships, hotter and thicker as they approached. Fragments of pumice and blackened stones, cracked by fire, were falling. Suddenly the sea became shallow, and debris from the mountain obstructed the shore. For a moment he considered turning back, and then he said, because the crew was getting restive, they were getting scared, and so he was heard to say to the helmsman, "Fortune favors the brave. Set course for Pompanianus." And Pompanianus was somebody that he knew. We don't know who it is, but it's somebody that he knew who was at Stabii, and that evidently that's also where Rectina was.
Mm-hmm.
And unfortunately, I'm gonna truncate it there because it goes on for some time more. So I'll just summarize by saying that
Was
the
your voice here, but all right, truncate it.
What?
Well,
What?
I said was clearly loving to hear your voice here, but we got to truncate it. Well, you're truncating it. Because...
Well.
Otherwise, I would have cut you
okay.
off, right?
All right.
So...
Well, he went to join Pompanianus, and then the flames and the smell of sulfur drove the others to flee and forced him to rise. Supported by two servants, he stood and immediately collapsed. So I believe the dense vapors blocked his breathing and closed his throat, which was constitutionally weak and narrow and often inflamed. When daylight returned 2 days later, his body was found intact, unharmed, and fully clothed. His appearance resembled sleep more than death. So that's Pliny the Elder. Yeah, Pliny the Elder died. He probably had a heart attack. But he was all among people who did survive that far away from the eruption. They were able to. They suffered the effects of it, but he was able to survive. And so,
Incredible.
I guess
that's a very visceral description of what is happening. They're literally going towards the volcano while it's erupting. That's
I think he was like I think he was oblivious, kind of like a nerd. Right, and he's saying, "Well, it looks like there's nothing to be worried about here. It's just a cloud. This is a natural thing. There's nothing mysterious." I think that the people at the time many of the people didn't even really know what was happening. I think they thought the world was coming to an end, and so from that standpoint, it was perhaps terrifying. Go ahead and share my my screen again.
Let me see if I how to do this.
Yeah.
So, what is that? What are we looking at?
This is a view of the city of Herculaneum, which is from the earlier the earlier artist impression, and that line of enclosures down here are thought to have been boathouses. And each one of those is filled with skeletons, or was filled with skeletons. I was there in 2020, and I was walking along a catwalk that they've built. It's a metal catwalk.
This is a great picture you took.
This entire area down in here, I read about it in the early 1980s when it was uncovered in National Geographic magazine. I think there was upwards of 100 bodies that were scattered around and also enclosed within these sheds. This was the beachfront in those days. And so you can see 50 feet, 30 to 50 feet. And over here, you can see this area. This is all the region this is all the volume of material that buried the city. And these are the ruins that were buried at that time. These buildings up here is the modern city of Ercolano. I don't know what when all of this was discovered in the 19th century, they started pulling stuff out from Herculaneum. There was a city up here, and I think in the 20th century sometime they changed the name of this city to Ercolo, which is Herculaneum, so the modern city is called Ercolo.
The ancient city is called Herculaneum. but the modern city is called
is Ercolo. Yeah.
Ercolano, or yeah. Interesting. All
And
right.
so I was standing along this catwalk here. I don't know. I get this catwalk here, and there were there's skeletons in here, or purportedly skeletons. I don't know. Here's another picture of it, and so you can see that this was all spectacularly discovered and written about in National Geographic. And right around here, there was a couple. They were Americans. I could hear the American accent. And so I thought, oh, Americans, you can talk to Americans. They're not like edgy.
Okay. So wait, these are skeletons right there.
Yeah.
Okay.
I had been studying them for some time. I had been there for maybe 20 minutes or so, and I'd already been looking at them. And then I got to thinking, the way I think is now are these skeletons really skeletons? Are these the original skeletons? Because if they are,
they put fake skeletons there just for tourists, I guess.
Well, it doesn't say that anywhere, right? It just represents these as the skeletons of people that had taken shelter. These were probably, almost certainly, these were sheds that were used for boats. Right, because it was right along the beach up front. Yeah. And so I had been standing along here studying them, and I'm looking carefully at them. And I looked along the edge here, and I could see that there was a little fiberglass mat, little remnants that maybe most people wouldn't notice or wouldn't think to notice. And then I looked, and I could see very slight flaws in what I was looking at. And so I heard them talking over here. And so I came over because, Americans, you can talk to Americans and they don't like recoil. Like I noticed that, Europeans will, why are you talking to me? Why are you talking to me? That kind of thing. But Americans are friendly. So I said, do you think they're real? And the woman said, we were just thinking about that. And so I already knew that they weren't real, and so I stepped over this. You can see where the rope is. I stepped over the rope, and I went over and I rapped on top of that skull right there, and then I walked back, and they were what? You stepped over into. Yeah. Wow. Okay. Yeah. Right. I just stepped over there and I tapped on that skull right there. Yeah. And then I came back and I said, it's all plastic. I think that they are made by 3D printing. I think they're 3D printed replicas. They've scanned them carefully using, different techniques and unbelievable. And so, yeah. So yeah. And I didn't get arrested or anything. I'm sure I would have gotten arrested.
I'm a little confused about this, though. I thought Herculaneum was very well preserved, and that there were a lot of real skeletons.
Yeah, I think it's a real thing that they found skeletons in here, but they've taken them out. You couldn't just leave the skeletons in there because this is open to the air. The rain would get in there. Birds, rodents, all that kind of stuff would. So they've replaced it all as a display. So they're like 3D printed replicas, I presume, of the actual. I haven't been able to confirm that. I've researched it. I've confirmed that, but there is no way in hell that these are real bones. Okay, there's no way that they could keep them exposed like that. And so that was my experience. Here's what the mountain looked like in ancient times.
Okay, obviously a pictorial depiction of the mountain, but
yeah, this is a tribute to the god Bacchus, who was he was important for grapes and wine and so forth.
I guess were they growing like vineyards there or something?
I think there's grapes growing all the way up the mountain, and indeed today you see all that greenery there. Even today, I think that they grow a lot of grapes there. I went to eat. I went to eat. I went to eat dinner, and the waiter asked me, "Would you like some wine?" And I was viewing. I was looking at this mountain. I looked out the window at this mountain from the restaurant, and I said, "Yeah, I guess so. Bring me some wine." I don't know what kind of wine yet, but anyway, he brought me some nice wine.
I'm sure it was locally grown. So,
yeah.
What is can you remind me what the snake is there for? Is that
I didn't. That is a snake. I didn't research what the snake was about. But this whole thing is a tribute to Bacchus and the mountain. And the reason I included it there was because this was a depiction of what the mountain looked like in ancient times. And I believe that this is the mountain. I believe that this view of the mountain is from the same location as the depiction here. And I think this depiction is quite realistic because I can see a little bump here and some of this shape here. And so what we're seeing in this picture photograph from modern times is just this lower part of the mountain. You follow what I'm saying? So all of this was destroyed and blown out and covered the countryside.
That makes sense. Yeah, go on.
I was going to say, so that brings me to some questions about the actual this letter that Pliny wrote. It has a date, and you remember I mentioned the date. Traditionally, the date of the eruption is August 24, 79 A.D., and that's related in Latin as nine. Well, the way the Romans would relate it, they would say 9 calends September, and that would be August 24th, which is 9 days before the beginning of September. But I became aware of some of the archaeological evidence of fruit and other kinds of fruit, nuts, and different crops that were available at that time and are preserved in the archaeological excavation. And it seems like it includes things like pomegranate and the grapes and walnuts, which don't become available until autumn, until later in the year. And furthermore, I guess it's well known that the bodies of people who died at Pompeii left voids. Their bodies would decompose, and they left voids in the
voids?
A void. It's if a body is just made from flesh and bone, well, the flesh, when the body is all completely covered by the material from the pumice and the material from the eruption, then the body will decompose, and then in the 18th century they started discovering these things, actually, or even earlier than that. I think in the 17th century.
1748, actually. Or
and some,
yeah.
So people started.
Go on.
People would pour plaster into it, and so they would pour a lot of plaster into it until it filled up, and then when they dug away all of the debris, then they had a cast of the body there. And people have studied what the people were wearing from the impressions in the plaster cast, and it looks like they were more heavily clothed than you would expect for late August. It's very hot there in August. All of these are things that have emerged in the past 10 years from the archaeology. So there's some question about whether this date is valid or not. And so what I undertook to do was I wanted to go back and look at the document directly. This is something that this just has to be a crazy idea for just an ordinary guy like me to go and get the parchment. I didn't get the parchment exactly, but I did recover this.
All right, so you an ordinary guy, decides to go look at ancient manuscripts in Latin, to decipher, to figure out really when this eruption actually happened.
Right. And so I went to the Vatican Digital Archive, and everybody should go there and look at it. It's just amazing because you can actually look at the books that are written. This particular book, and this is just 2 pages from the book, right? It's just 2 pages. It's actually the left side. What? Yeah.
Digi.vatlib.it. That's
Yeah.
that's the Vatican archive for those interested,
Right.
where you can find manuscripts like the one we're showing right now.
And
So-
yeah, I had to hunt around quite a lot, and it may amaze people to know that I actually went through page by page, and I was looking at the Latin, and I was looking for some text that looked like this.
Let's see.
This text right here, which is the beginning of the letter, and you can see that P. This parchment was copied down in the 9th century, sometime around the year 850. I believe it is the earliest extant witness to Pliny's letter.
Where's the original letters with the Vatican as well?
Well, no, the original is long gone.
Oh, okay. It was just
The letter. So the scribes, in the church, they have a tradition of preserving knowledge. So actually the date. Well, here, let me go on the next. See, I was able to. This is the beginning of the letter right here, and this is what it would read in Latin when I tried to transcribe it the best I could. And so this is Petis ut tibi right there. Avunculi mei. So the W, the U looks like a V. I mean the V looks like a U. So this is avuncula mei, which means my uncle. Exitum scribum right there. That thing that looks like an F, that's what an S would be. And so you have to kind of get some idea about how to read it.
Mm-hmm.
So and I use ChatGPT to help me parse this. So you can take this little segment, which I took out right here, and dropped it into ChatGPT and said, "Can you read this?" And it would. I said, "Try to transcribe that." So it would do this, and then you have to ask it, "Are you making anything up?" And it'll say, it thinks for a minute, "No, I'm not making anything up. This is what it looks like." And in fact, I was able to do memorabilii right there, and these are all these are really. One of the funny things about it is this scribe, and what I understand is that this is Carolinian script. I don't really know what that means, but it seems to. I think it comes from the area where the Franks were in the 8th and 9th century. There was the Franks and Aquitaine, and that area in the Middle Ages. Or actually medieval period, right?
I mean, that's pretty good. So Leonard, you're going through this line by line, translating it, or rather you're having not Google.
Well, I'm having ChatGPT help me, but you can see, and so then I can translate all of this, and so this is Remember, we started talking about the letter. This is what it says in English. As in an objective translation. You asked that I write to you about the death of my uncle so that you may hand it down more truthfully to posterity. I thank you. Here, let me show you where he says I thank you. That's gratias ago.
Gratias ago.
That means I thank you.
When the scribes, just out of curiosity, when they copy the original text, do they write it? Do they try to write it with the same handwriting as well?
With the same handwriting.
Well, not like do they write it like as much as possible, like looking exactly the same?
No, they use their own handwriting. I mean, this is written by somebody in the 9th century, and you only see 2 pages back here. But I'm telling you, there was in this document there was probably about 100 or more pages that looked like this, and there's just one letter right after another. Let me go back to the original one. Okay, so in letters. Well, in this one, they didn't follow a particular style, but I just wanted to point that out. So there's just one letter right after another, and it's Latin, and it's almost readable, except that one of the things they do is that in modern times we want to divide up gratias, should be gratias ago. We would write that as 2 words, but they would put all of them together in a which makes it sort of difficult.
Yeah, I don't really see any spacing, but I guess they didn't have
Yeah.
that. And
They didn't do that. So gratias ago just was like one word, even though it's really 2 words. So that was sort of interesting to me. Here you can see this is the part of that text that I blew up here, and then so this is the translation, and this is almost exactly what I was reading earlier, if you remember when I started reading the letter.
But what you were reading was somebody else's translation.
Yes, that's like what I was reading is something like a 19th century translation of the letter.
Mm-hmm.
But because of this controversy about the date, I got to wondering why would the date be wrong? And so in this letter, I was able to find the place where the date was written, and it says Nona and then KL. This is what was for calendres. This is Nono calendes septembris. So this is indeed 9. That's the number. That's the word for 9, and then calendis, and then September, which is August 24, right? And here you go, oror fere septima, which is 7 o'clock, 7 o'clock in the morning. So this is the origin of the 24 August. So it is consistent with the traditional date, but there are funny things about it. It's not 100% grammatical. It might be interpreted incorrectly. So you can see how down here I go. No calendes septembris ora fera septima, right? And then the next sentence is mater mea indicat. My mother showed. that's my mother, but that's other language. We were at Mycenae, or he was at Mycenae, and it was on the 9th. It was the 9th day before the beginning of September. So this is the traditional date. But the thing is, you don't know. This is like looking under the hood, which to me I think is really cool. And I hope our audience is edified by this.
It's pretty cool that all these were scanned and these scribes like kept all this.
Yeah. So go on the website. Go on the website and see if you can.
Search for it?
What?
What did you search for to find it?
I searched for Pliny's name, and then the word
what manuscript is this? They have a number of them. What number?
This manuscript is 154, I think. But I looked for epistulae, which is the Latin word for letter, and then Plinius Secundus. Plinius Secundus.
Latin really helped.
So yeah. I have kind of studied Latin, but I'm not fluent at all.
Epictuous.
Yeah.
Plinius.
Epistulum.
Epistulae.
Epistulae.
Epistulae. Epistulae. Got it.
I don't know.
Interesting word. So yeah. Apparently we did get to Leonard speaking Latin for a little bit. So.
Facere scripenda, aut scribere legenda. Beatus motus quibus utreque.
I found it. There's a bunch of them. So, whatever manuscript this is.
Well, that's right. And so this is the whole translation of that little segment that I was interested in studying. Okay, so now there's another piece of evidence that I forgot to talk about, and that is that in the excavations, in the archaeology, somebody wrote on the wall in charcoal, and they said something like, on this day in October, we had a really great meal. And so that's actually on a wall in the excavation. So that had to have been written before the eruption, because it's charcoal. That could have been the previous year, but it would wash off. I mean, it wouldn't stay there. But anyway, I was intrigued by that. Am I clear about what I'm saying? Yeah. So I went
that there was literally a message on the wall that indicated the month was in October.
And so I found an article at the archaeological the excavation Pompeii Archaeological Park website, or some publications that have to do with that. And I found a photograph of the drawing of the charcoal, and it does look like somebody scribbling. Looks like somebody scribbling on the wall. And the thing to look at, and you have to decide. I took the color out and tried to increase the contrast as best I could. This could be a number, and it might be something, and then that might be a K for calends, and then this is pretty clearly November.
Yeah, even modern day people can read that one.
All right, that's pretty clearly November. And then others have looked at this and have figured out we had a really great meal here. I didn't bother to try to, and it's cursive, I didn't try to make any sense out of that. But this is that inscription. So there is somebody wrote something calends November, which is October. That for us that would be sometime in the middle of October.
Right. Since that means like blah 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 days before.
Yeah. So all of these things are going all together. So that ancient manuscript that I have from the 9th century is consistent with the traditional day, August 24. But everything else I've looked at so far, I mean, there's other, the archaeological evidence, nuts and fruit that are out of season, that are not in the August, not in this late, not consistent with late summer. And then the people having heavier clothes on. And so then
when you look at all the evidence, it would seem like Pliny the Younger just made up a date.
I doubt very much that he made up a date. It's much more likely that it was written down wrong. Because let me show you some more stuff. Later, this is one of those manuscripts from the 15th century. Okay, and this is the same part of the message, part of the letter, where he's talking about the date. And here you can see, and it's actually written much more cleanly. You can see non bris ora fera septima and he abbreviates mater mea indica. So this is where he says my mother, right? But this nonebris, which I take it to be nonebris, ora feri septima, the month is missing. Okay. And this is in a 15th century. transcription. You're asking me why it's missing.
Yeah, like the previous one,
I don't know. It's anomalous. This is not good Latin.
Is this a different manuscript though? But it's
Yes, this is a manuscript that came 500 years after the previous one. The previous one looks correct. This one's anomalous. It's not the right Latin. And I noticed somebody put a little arrow here and a little % sign or something. It's like they marked something here, but to me, this looks like nonebris. But it's not the way, and you would put a calends here and then the month. So it doesn't, it's anomalous. Another funny thing about it is I didn't enhance any of this. You notice, if you look carefully, it looks like the scribe has gone over the letters or enhanced the letters with another dip of the ink to make it black. So there's something anomalous about that. And so this manuscript here. Here's the website where you can look at it. There is a copyright on these things, so I'm a little nervous about that.
Okay. I mean, the copyright is like ancient times. Does it still matter?
Well, the text cannot possibly be copyrighted, but the presentation and the shape and the way this has been prescribed. But they said that that if you print it or put it on a website, they want you to ask permission. So let's not put it on a website or print it.
Well, I'm not printing any of this, but we're doing a podcast here, and we're just showing some things.
I think I'm gonna say it's fair use.
Yeah, absolutely. And this is all to thank you, Vatican, for all this. Yeah,
go to the website and look at it, because they've done a lot of work on this, and they've been working on it for a long time. 1,500 years.
Now, like, anybody could be a researcher of these.
I know. I might be threatening their job.
Well, how do I mean, like you could take a photo. Anyone could take a picture, right? And then just put it into your favorite AI agent and have.
That's right. That's right. So that was one of the messages that I wanted to put out, is that use ChatGPT. I mean, I got another manuscript also in the 15th century, and here you can see the same. This one, it looks like regiba. That's the end of the last sentence, and then nonem be something. And there's like, so these little.
How good your Latin is, since I don't know any myself.
And then this is the abbreviation for calends. Anything that was abbreviated, they would put like a little stroke through it. And then ora fera septima. So this one also is missing the month. It's not exactly the same, but it's missing the month. It's not grammatically correct way of writing a date in Latin.
Mm-hmm.
So also, this is neat. You see how they have like this red thing right here. So this is Gaius Plinius Tacito Salve Salve. I don't know if I can increase. Yeah, I can.
Yeah, you can.
So this is a typical way that the medieval or Renaissance. This is Renaissance. How the Renaissance would so they kind of like decorated the first letter, and then they would have the name of the letter, who it was written to, and and then the previous letter. Notice the previous letter has vale. Okay.
So, Leonard, I'm getting some active feedback from some of our viewers, and not all of them are enthused at this extended Latin lesson.
Well, then.
But are we? Do you wish to continue? How many more manuscripts are we?
No, if everybody's upset with me, okay, so they're tired of the Latin. No, that's actually my last slide.
Okay.
I think. Yeah. All right.
But I mean, it's interesting, but I think it's more interesting if you're like as a amateur researcher, which is what I'm going to call you for this, is actively digging
Yeah.
into it. So yeah.
I did paint a picture when I was there.
So for those who are bored, possibly hearing Latin and trying to transcribe things, here's a visual thing. No picture. Sorry, no words.
No, yeah, I forgot. I forgot. You're right. 21st century people want to scroll. Okay, so I've gone way past their scroll tolerance. So, yeah.
So what are we? Okay, this is beautiful, Leonard. You painted this, right?
Yeah, I did. Yeah.
What are we looking at?
This is a picture from the northern approach to Pompeii, from the city of Pompeii, and this is what it looked like. This is a cemetery.
This is you were there in person and you saw the scene.
Yeah.
I think. Okay, so this is like modern day, right?
Yeah, I wasn't there for the eruption.
Oh gosh. Well, I don't know how long you've been walking around on this planet, but that was not my question.
Anyway, this is a painting I did when I was there, and I related some of the experiences I had at Pompeii, and I'm done talking for today.
What if I go through that archway? Where would I be?
Which archway? This archway?
Well, actually, yeah.
Oh, you mean here?
Yeah.
Okay. Right. This was someone's what do you call a mausoleum?
Okay.
So this was somebody, and there was actually, I think in the actual at the actual time there was a modern gate right here that kept you from going inside.
You didn't.
I took that out of the painting, but the rest of this stuff is pretty much the way it is.
Beautiful.
We can, yeah, and I, that's there's I think it's empty. I don't think there's anything in there, and then there's some more mausoleums here, and the Romans would cremate their dead, and then they would keep the ashes in just the way people sometimes do today. And here's one of the Roman roads, and so anyway, I propose that's the end of our show today, and it didn't go well because people are not happy. We're too much.
I did not say people are not happy. I am saying is just that
I don't care.
Obviously, when we do a show, we're not always catering to everybody because you can't ever please everyone. You got to talk about what you find interesting. I do have to say, this is actually quite encouraging. I feel like for our viewers out there, in that if you didn't know this, first of all, there's this wonderful resource with the Vatican preserving all these ancient manuscripts, and second of all, this is where ancient preservation of history and modern technology combined, where now you, the average citizen, average person, without being a professional scholar of ancient works, you could go through there and use AI to help you, what they're saying, and do your own research as well. So yeah.
Is that showing up there?
What are you showing?
I was trying to show the digital website. It's not.
I could show it real quick. It's the website is I actually put it on the chat already, but we could see what we get here. Digi.vat.
Yeah.
.it.
Yeah, that's it.
And you could literally. What just happened? Not sure.
I don't know.
Here, let me
woodpeckers.
Let me add this to the stage here. I think I have it.
So the only problem that you have is that your attention span is so short that
Here we go.
yeah, and you're so used to like everything being given to you that you'll just think that this is impossible. Oh, I can't do this. I can't. So what does it do? How do I do this? So my thought about that is, like just try. So
this,
like I don't know how to paint. I don't know how to paint, so you just try.
You know how to paint really well though.
I don't know how to paint.
You don't know how to paint. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
So yeah.
So you can see I just clicked a random one since I don't want to dig through it, but like you can see
Yeah.
like how easy it is to just flip through the book. And it's like,
Yeah, exactly.
wow, imagine that. You can like read all this. And like,
people would cut. This is before they had printing, and so people would have. And look at it; it's gorgeous.
It's absolutely gorgeous. I guess back in the day, like if you're gonna spend hours like transcribing one anyway, you just gotta write it. You gotta make these.
There's a book, a sci-fi book called Canticle of Leibowitz. You ever heard of it?
No. What is that?
Well, it's about the future, a post-apocalyptic world where just like mutants have destroyed all the knowledge, and the Catholic Church is still there, and they're still recording stuff, but they're idiots and they don't know what they're doing. Like they're just recording, they're just copying stuff, and so there's this one little monk who finds a blueprint, right, of some electronic equipment, and they think there's something magically mystical about the patriarch of the monastery named Leibowitz, which is a Jewish name, by the way, and so they think it's so significant. So he copies it, right? He copies over it, and then he illuminates it and puts gold leaf on it, and he works for 12 years on it, and then they take it to New Rome, where he presents it to the Pope, and this is 600 years after the apocalypse, and then he goes back and gets killed. So
how does the apocalypse happen in the sci-fi novel?
So it's a nuclear holocaust, nuclear war.
I thought it would relate back to this, but you're saying
no, it doesn't. It's just a comment. It's just a comment that the Catholic Church has a tradition that they are preserving manuscripts, and sometimes, and it's like this this letter from Pliny was written, and it was in these archives for hundreds of years, and then somebody started digging down, and they discovered in the 17th century that Pompeii was there, and yet it was recorded in the archives the whole time, and these are famous letters that are well known, but there's hundreds and hundreds of pages of stuff from Pliny and Suetonius and Tacitus, and and I don't know what else to say. There's a lot of stuff that's been written down, and what I was astonished was that it's legible and easy to read. Well, it's not easy to read because it's another language, but
just people should probably know that like this is not the only example in history where a volcano destroyed a city or town or multiple towns.
That has happened. Yeah.
However, this is one of the best recorded instances.
It's one of them, and it's also really a snapshot of life in one day. One day in ancient times was recorded and preserved like a time capsule.
Exactly. So you can go there. Like it's because of the volcanic ash and pumice burying all these people and structures. This is like you basically preserved, like it's much better preserved than other Roman cities or towns out
Precisely. At Herculaneum, there's also a library that was covered, and Herculaneum was covered in a different kind of ash that is what's called pyroclastic flow. So they had a very rapid immolation of the city by a rolling cloud of dust and dirt and cloud that was at high temperature. and so everything was burned, but then covered over. So they think that the people in those boat sheds were killed instantly when that happened. They even look like they're almost frozen in time.
Yeah.
At the instant that they died. So they think they all died instantly. They were waiting to be rescued. But there is a library there of these charred scrolls. And recently there's been efforts to try to, well, for centuries, people have been trying to unroll them and read them, but they're just burned up charcoal briquettes. But they're papyrus scrolls. And so recently there's been some success in being able to read them using some forensic techniques.
Incredible.
Yeah.
I'm trying
What's
to
incredible?
look. Oh no, I was looking it up. Actually, these scrolls, they look incredible.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah. I'm not gonna bother sharing on screen since we're trying to wrap up the show. But
Yeah.
Based on what is just said, though, you guys should take a look at. Let me see if I can just throw up the link here. The Wikipedia article, Herculaneum papyri. I guess that's a plural. And you'll see a bunch of very burnt-looking scrolls.
Burnt-looking scrolls.
There's over 1,800 of them.
Yeah. Preserved. So recently there's been forensic techniques that involve X-rays, high frequency infrared or ultraviolet light, and what they call certain three-dimensional techniques, and also using AI to try to extract the text of them. And so there's been some success. It's mostly has to do with it looks like it's a lot of the library is a tribute to a philosopher named Epicurus, a Greek philosopher named Epicurus, and so it has a lot of that kind of stuff. There's unfortunately, there's a lot of things that we would like to see all the rest of some literature from ancient times that wasn't preserved or lost, but doesn't seem like there's anything like that available. Like Virgil's Aeneid.
That would be nice. Doesn't get those back. Yeah.
It doesn't seem like the Aeneid was completed, and so even though it's a great story, but anyway.
Hey, what is that sci-fi novel you mentioned with the Vatican not knowing anything?
Canticle, which is like a song for Leibowitz, Leibo.
What an odd name.
It's by a guy named Miller, I think.
Okay, and this is a novel you would recommend?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I think I would recommend. It's actually three books, and they're
Leonard,
all put together.
Leonard approved sci-fi novel here, a canticle for Leibowitz.
And
not telling you that, yeah.
And a lot of it's in Latin, by the way. So
wait, the book? Okay.
It's a sci-fi novel. It's written in English, but there's a lot of Latin in it.
So it's set in a Catholic monastery in the desert of the southwestern United States after a nuclear war. The book spans thousands of years as civilization rebuilds itself.
Right.
And the monks of the Albertian Order of Leibowitz preserve the surviving remnants of scientific knowledge until the world is ready for it. That sounds fascinating.
Yeah.
So, all right, I'm gonna have to see if I can get this book since I do
I don't want to spoil anything, but
don't say anything.
I don't want to spoil anything. Yeah.
Don't say anything. This is not a sci-fi book review.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. I think we've gone quite a bit. Well, I don't know. Whenever the show is over is whenever people stop talking.
Or when everyone is dropped off.
I have no idea. So.
I think a lot of people dropped off for this one.
No. Who knows? I mean, I think I don't know. I'll take a look later. Point is, everybody, for those who have stuck around, thank you very much. I'm sure that you guys learned quite a bit, maybe in a different way than you expected. But we will as noted, we're gonna try to make the show weekly again. It's been a little bit. Feel free to like, subscribe, do all your favorite.
All that stuff.
Sharing, put it anywhere you want. Like,
Yeah, and if you didn't like this show, then tell us what you want us to do a report on, and we'll do a study about it.
That would actually be really nice. So feel free to discuss, ask questions, or bring up issues with what you would like us to talk about.
And if this show was really painful, like, you could send it to people you don't like.
That's so true. Like, you could tell them, hey, like, go watch this hour and soon going to be over 10-minute episode, 70-minute episode of talking about Pompeii and Pliny the Younger in Latin. Yes.
And Latin, yeah.
And the Vatican archives, yes.
Right.
So, all right.
Yay.
We'll be back next week. So another exciting topic. I'm sure we would do something a little different. But yeah.
Party hardy.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Take care, everybody.
So long.
Namaste.
Is that what you're waiting for?
I'm trying to. Yes.
Trying to